Welcome back to the Gardening with Joe and Holly radio show. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for allowing us to be with you. Moments away, we're going to discuss what's eating my plants or what's eating your plants. But first, a word from our good friends from Farm Defense.
Farm and garden in the ultimate comfort. Farmer's Defense has lightweight and durable sleeves made to protect you against the elements while farming. Farmer's sleeves offer unparalleled protection of arms and skin for any farmer, gardener, or outdoor worker. Say goodbye to irritated skin and sunburns in the garden. Their sleeves offer cooling comfort and protection against elements outdoors. An alternative with thick clothing. Farmer's Defense is made of wicked material with UBF protection factor 50 plus to protect you from allergies and scratches. To find out their great products and more, visit farmersdefense.com.
So one of the things that many people are dealing with right now, and you're probably in that category, is something's eating my plants or something looks to be eating my plants. What could it be? Well, we've got a number of things that could be eating your plants. We're going to try to verbally describe what these conditions appear to be on a plant, and then you can do some internet wandering and look for some images to see if that matches up to your problem. If things are being eaten off the top and nibbled off the top, it could be deer or rabbit. Deer Defeat is a great product. Use radio at checkout, save 10% on your order. It is a organic, safe application in which you does not wash off with rain, sleet, snow, freeze. Applies every 30 days, and it keeps the animals from eating the plants. You can either spray it directly on the plants based on the conditions or around the perimeter, and it will help repel the plants. So deerdefeat.com, radio at checkout, and save 10% on your order. So that's things if you're seeing things being eaten off the top or potentially nibbled on.
And you might see the animal anyway.
Yeah, you might see the animal as well. So leaf miners, Holly.
Yeah, so leaf miners are basically just little, they're little insects that literally like mine the leaves of your plant.
They get between the top and the bottom, in the center,
yeah.
and they just chew away and make little tunnels.
Yep, so it'll almost look like you'll see sometimes holes, but you'll also see these little tunnels. It'll look kind of blistery, blotchy, almost like bleach spots or bleach.
Dead areas.
Like dead areas, yeah. And they're called serpentine tunnels. Sometimes you'll see like leafy feces. So it'll be like little leafy looking drops. Not drops. I can't think of the word. But yeah, so that's because of these leaf miners. So what you can do is you can crush the larvae. So what would you would find them in your leaves and then you would crush them. And that's one great way. Otherwise, you can use things like neem oil, BT spray, and then otherwise some people will add beneficial nematodes to their soil to help prevent that problem.
I would not advise eating the leaf that is damaged because there's probably something in that leaf if you're, that insect. So dispose of it in a way that you feel it's going to destroy that insect inside that leaf, whether it's compost or burn or run it down the street and throw it in your neighbor's backyard, whatever it is, you don't want to consume that. Tomato hornworm is another insect that is destroying your tomato plants. And you will see the leaves you're going to have a bare plant or areas of a bare plant if no fruit is on it. Tomatoes, right. Or if you have green tomatoes or just I'm going to harvest it tomorrow tomatoes, you're going to see a big chunks eaten out of it with droplets or black tiny particles left as a remains, which is the feces of the hornworm. Hornworms are active mostly during dawn and dusk and will nest up underneath the leaves and limbs of a tomato plant. And if you do not know what you're looking for, you're going to look right at them and not notice them. So there's a couple of ways in which you can combat the damage of which these tomato hornworms are doing to your garden. One is if you see the damage, there's probably more than one of these on plants or on one plant or multiple plants. They will, if you have plants that are very close to one another, they're going to find all the plants in your area. You can hit them with a hose. Hit the plant with a hose. That will typically dislodge them. You can also bring in or encourage birds to come into your garden by incorporating either a bird bath or bird feeders or feeding areas in which they can eat. And it's as simple as a tuna can on a wooden stick filled with bird seed or peanuts or old garden seeds that are not viable anymore. They will come in, feed on that, see the hornworms, and consume them. Also, it cannot be done at this particular time, but during the fall months or early spring where you've had the tomatoes prior or at the previous year, disturb that soil, whether by fork or by tiller, and that will disrupt the larvae, which is buried in the soil, to the point where 90% of the larvae is not going to survive. So those are some ways in which you can do that. Other people have found taking a UV or a black light out at nighttime, they will see and can illuminate the hornworm that way as well, and then you can pick them off and get rid of them. So hornworms have devastated our crops many years, but implementing the tillage of the area, bringing in birds by bird feeders or places for feeding them, that has eliminated almost every hornworm that we could have potentially had in the last 7 years. I don't think we've had one in the last 7 years since we've been implementing those two techniques in our garden.
Right. So, yep, that's what you can do with the hornworm. So then we have the potato bug or the potato beetle or the Colorado potato beetle. And you know that exists because you'll have these little bites out of the leaves of the potato plant. And what you can do is typically most people find it most effective to find the potato beetles and smash them. And that's usually how you get rid of them. It's typically, it will be like on one plant, not all the plants.
Others will take a portable vacuum or extension cord and vacuum up the beetles in a shot vac. There is not a true and fast method that, okay, I can spray on the potatoes and the potato horn or the Colorado potato beetle will go away and it'll die. Some applications are more effective on the larvae, which is underneath the leaves, and not so much on the parent or the adult plant insects. So controlling the larvae is one way in which to eliminate, and then doing the vacuum or squeezing them or putting them in a bucket of soapy water. It's a time consumption method. However, it can save your potato crop. Another one is Japanese beetles.
Yeah, so Japanese beetles are actually an invasive species that came up from Asia, and they look like these little emerald-backed beetles. They're very pretty. Unfortunately,
when they're not eating your plants.
Yeah, when they're not eating your plants. And it's another thing where you'll find these little chewed holes. Sometimes they'll just eat kind of down to the skeleton of a leaf of the plant. It's very unfortunate. And so most people, what they'll do is they'll get the Japanese beetle traps, which is smart, but then they'll put them right next to the plants. And
from rescue.com.
Yeah, from rescue.com. And that's not what you want to do. You want to put them in the opposite corner of your yard so that, because these traps do attract the beetles and they trap them very successfully, but then it seems like you're luring them into your yard. So if you put it in the opposite corner, then you'll lure them away from your garden.
Yeah, many people, my cherry tree is getting attacked. Okay, let me hang it right underneath the cherry tree, and now it's a party in your backyard with all the beetles in the area. Predominantly growing up, this was a big problem with pole beans and bush beans that these beetles would attack. We never noticed it, and we don't notice it on tomato plants, but it's the green beans is what they really seem to, and sunflowers are another one, and then they can eradicate rose plants just very quickly. Other people may choose to vacuum them up or put them in soapy water, a bucket of soapy water, but the rescue trap works the most effectively. You can also use milky spore and inject that into the soil. You can also use Grub Gone from Phylum Bioproducts and spray directly on your plants, edible or ornamental, and that will kill the beetle as well, and it's very effective. So there's several great commercially available methods in which to either prevent them from damaging your plants or trying to salvage the plants in which they're damaging. So if you don't have any Japanese beetles now, or you have very few of them, you may want to go ahead and get a trap or get the beetle gone from Phylum in order to be proactive instead of reactive to them. And this is just some of the many different plants or bugs that could be eating your plants. We can touch on squash vine borer real quickly.
Yeah, so the squash vine borer typically eats a lot of squash plants, but a lot of times it's zucchini. And then is it the
pumpkin?
Pumpkin. Oh, yeah, pumpkin.
Butternut, it won't.
Yeah, butternut is the one that it won't. So any other squash plant but the butternut squash plant. And what they do is they lay their larvae into the base of the stem of your squash plants. And then when that larvae starts to develop and eat, it eats up through the stem of your plant. And that's when your plant starts to die.
It severs the nutrients from the roots up to the plant, and it looks like the plant needs water. You water it, and it just gets droopier and droopier. And at that point, the survival rate is almost zero for your zucchini plant. As your plants begin to grow, your pumpkins, your squash plants, your viney acorn plants, all those, you want to look at the base, and you want to see if there has been an injection of larvae in the base. You can tell this by the sap being dribbled out of a particular hole, the honeydew of it, and then you can cut into it gently by not severing the stem, but opening a cavity up, and at that point you will see the larva, and you can extract it that way. If you go to our parent website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, and in the upper right corner search bar, type in squash vine borer, we have a number of demonstrational videos explaining how to do this in order to get zucchini and pumpkins and squash. And this has been the go-to method for us for many years in order to get those harvesting vegetables. Otherwise, we would not be able to. That has been the only true method that we have found, Holly, that everybody says, there's many methods. Put aluminum foil around the base. Do this, do that.
Put a lot of these, you can put those floating row covers, especially, we didn't talk about cabbage moss, but
right.
That's a common one as well. However, we did learn that sometimes they're not as effective as you think, or by the time you get them out, your plants might already be...
And you got to take them off to get them pollinated anyway.
Right.
So there's some issues there. Well, we talked about Phylum Bioproducts with the beetle gone, and you certainly can get that from Phylum Bioproducts. They also have a number of other products. They have another product which you can do that. So if you have already got Japanese beetles, weevils, borers in your garden, Phylum Bioproducts is the go-to place for your resolution to your problem.
And what better way to prevent those pests from destroying your garden than by controlling them while they are larvae? Grub Gone is an easy to apply granular product that can spread on your turf successfully to control grub invaders. Developed by Phylum Bioproducts from a naturally occurring bacteria, Grub Gone is a non-chemical BT product that specifically targets only certain scarab pests, and it's safe to use around bees and other beneficial insects.
Yes, if you already have those beetles flying around your yard, Beetle Gone is an organic water dispersible powder that you can spray directly on your edible plants. Find out more at PhylumBioproducts.com. That's PHYLLOM Bioproducts.
For more information, please visit the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com.